Part 5, A Vampire Story. For real, allegedly. If you haven't seen 1 through 4, they're in my playlist. All you have to do is swipe on my profile, and it's right there. You're not going to understand this at all. Before we get started, TikTok, this is for entertainment and educational purposes only, so please don't get your panties in a wad. So, Lauren had freaked out over the silhouette in the dark that looked like it was in the buff, okay, of a woman. And gets back on the elevator in this huge castle of a home, which she wasn't used to at all, that freaked her out anyway, besides the fact of these twins from The Shining. She's on the elevator, she comes off, and she realizes it's Tristan's mama. She's got her books in her hand, and she looks at her, and she's just standing there like this. Yeah, like completely nothing. And remember how they was at dinner and she ain't saying nothing? She just sat there? At this point, Lauren's thinking, do I touch? But she's not in any clothes whatsoever. When I tell you that Lauren was freaking out, she was. So the woman just kind of bypasses her getting off the elevator, and she gets on it, okay? The mama. And at this point, she don't know which room is theirs, but it's on the left. So she goes a few doors down and jiggles handles. Some of them are locked. The first one that she comes to is open, and it's their room. Hers and Tristan's. He is still fast asleep, as if he didn't even realize she was gone from the room for that amount of time, which couldn't have been more than an hour. And she's wrestling with herself. She wants to wake him up and be like, your mom is literally in the buff, in the what's going on? So she's scared, she's freaked out. You got the twins from The Shining. Occult books for days in one library, and there's many in this house. She attempts to gently touch him. Tristan. He rolls over on his left side, okay? She's like, she leaves it alone and starts reading in some of the books, and one of them is a book of spells. Like actual book of spells, and it's old. This night passes by, they wake up, they go to breakfast, and his dad is there. And it's like, after we eat, I'd like to speak to both of you. And in her mind, she's like, great, he grilled me in front of everybody last time. What the fuck does he have to say? And your wife was just in the full snood, like a zombie. They meet up after breakfast. Tristan, still doesn't know what's going on. And she hasn't said anything to him. She's just, at this point, she's like, how much weirder can it get? And the father is like, I'm sorry about my wife. So he's like, please excuse my wife. We have her back on medication. Because after her last child, which was Caitlin's the last one. After her last child, she fell into a really bad postpartum depression. What, like 20 motherfucking years ago? And being that Lauren has never had kids or heard of anyone having this before, she just is in her mind thinking, does postpartum depression last that long? And then the dad excuses her to her face and is like, I'd like to speak to my son alone. And Tristan walks her outside the room and says, just wait here on me. And he walks in and shuts the door, and she's listening. It's not going well in there. Instead of talking about the mom, it's all about how Lauren should have never been brought there unannounced. And at this moment, she's trying to figure out, and she kind of remembers the way to get back to the room. She doesn't wait. She just goes. And she goes and she starts packing. She's ready to bye. Tristan finally makes it back to the room, and he's like, baby, please don't leave. And she's like, no, I want to go right the fuck now. It's either that or I'm done. I heard what your dad said about me, and that he thinks basically that she's white trash. So they do leave. They go back to the school, and she's talking to her roommate there, Saxton. Well, Saxton is now involved with one of the fraternity brothers where they first went to this party at, who is really good friends with Tristan. But not a roommate, because Tristan lives off campus, like I said, but still friends with Tristan. Come to find out, they might all be friends, but they don't really know that much about Tristan off of campus. But she does tell her, she was like, look, girl, she was like, he's got a lot of bodies. And she's like, do what? And she kind of figured he did because of how good looking he was. But at the same time, he just presented himself so much different. But now she's seen two sides to him, so she has no idea what's in store. She saw him be on campus, Tristan, that she knew. And she's seen him be blue blood Tristan, that his family knows. And he could switch interchangeably. So they argue back and forth for a couple more months about that. Now here's when things get wild. She can't afford school anymore because she's been gone so much, hanging out with him, partying with him and his friends. And remember, her brother Matt and his wife Donna had to take out a loan to help her the first time. Then shit in her life takes a turn for the worse. Her dad, who had been gambling in the stock market and arguing back and forth with mom, who she avoided and went to his family's for break with, he ends up going to a bar because he's so depressed, or what the fuck ever was going on in his life, because he had literally lost, like I said, she was wealthy for her town, but not wealthy for the world, and he had lost a ton of money, so mom wasn't dealing with it well. So he goes to the bar, ends up getting on the wrong side of the 4-lane, and gets hit head on, and don't make it. And this is getting kind of long, so I will do another part, and these take forever to upload if they're long.